location, Lehigh Valley with Love podcast. I'm your host, George Wacker. In this one, we're at Machs Gute on Linden Street in Bethlehem talking with renowned antique fan collector and art historian Stefan Osdene, who appeared on an episode of American Pickers. We have another fan, our very own Lehigh Valley's Prince of Polka, Robbie Lawrence, hosting and helping out with this episode due to his friendship with Stefan and his own wealth of knowledge when it comes to antique fans. Buckle in, kids. We talk about all sorts of fandom, including an upcoming 11th annual Lehigh Valley fan meet on Saturday, July 22nd through 23rd. You can email strfl02@moravian.edu if you'd like to RSVP or for more info. Also, be sure to check out Robbie and the Steelworkers on Facebook for all of his summer shows. And thank you to our sponsors, made possible in the Lehigh Valley. The Lehigh Valley is rich with possibilities, a proud heritage, and bright future that has long attracted makers, innovators, and those with great vision. Everything you need to create the life you want on your terms, vibrant downtowns, charming main streets with surprises around every corner, and lots of open places to explore, live, work, learn, play, discover all that's made possible in the Lehigh Valley at LehighValleyMadePossible.com. Also, Molly's Irish Grill and Sports Pub, of course, and Michael Bernardin with Remax. Find Mike and you're going to find your next dream home. And now let's talk about antique fans with Stefan Osdene and Robbie Lawrence on location at Machs Gute on Linden Street in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Stefan Osdene, a devoted fan collector for too many years. Actually, I'm about to turn 41 tomorrow. I've been doing it since I was 8.
Oh, happy early birthday.
33 years.
Yeah, where does this
Out of 40.
So here's how it all started for me. When I was 4 years old, I saw Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, and I was terribly afraid of the scene where they got sucked up towards a fan after drinking fizzy lifting drinks. I developed a terrible phobia of electric fans and vents because I thought I was going to get sucked up and chopped up as a kid. Now, this was a terribly bizarre, irrational fear. So, eventually, it changed from a fear to an obsession. I would go check every vent, every air conditioning unit, every exhaust fan in my neighborhood growing up in Richmond, Virginia. So old guy once called me Hot Motor because I was obsessed with compressors. When I went to the Edison Museum in Fort Myers, Florida at the age of 7, I saw brass-bladed, brass-cage fans, and I was hooked. I had to have some. I couldn't stop myself. And I said, I thought back then maybe I'm going to find one or two really early fans that don't have a cage on them, and here I am today with quite a few fans.
And I have seen quite a number of them. I believe you have 2 properties. One is down in Richmond, Virginia. Did you?
No, I got rid of that, and it was actually, firebombed during the riots.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I sold the building and I moved everything up to Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
So I have 2 properties there: my house and my antique store with a fan display above it.
Well, I will say, just to preface, in case if you're just tuning in, so I'm a good friend of George Wacker. I'm Robbie Lawrence, and one of the many bizarre things that I do is that I collect old fans, and I got to tell you folks out there, the one thing, whenever I admit, and I will say this in front of you, whenever I admit that, I do this crazy thing, the first thing that comes out of their mouths is, oh, did you ever see that episode of American Pickers where that Mike and Frank go see that guy? Well, as a matter of fact, guess what? This is the guy right here, Stefan Osdene, and it's a great pleasure to have you here with us tonight, sir.
Well, thank you.
Especially the night before your, 41st birthday,
yes.
Correct? Oh my goodness, the last night of 40 he's spending with us. How do you like that? But
talk about that American Pickers.
Oh, yes. Let's go a little bit more into that. So how did you get swept into having, did you contact Mike and Frank with that?
Well, I owe it to my ex-wife. She saw that they were doing a casting call in the Madison area, and she said, why don't you submit some pictures? And I thought, this would be really cool because they're really
a fan guy,
they're
right?
really close by. I mean, the Pickers are probably 2.5 hours away. So they're really
wow.
very, very much a part of the fabric of the antique community and collecting community in the area, especially with signs and the Petroliana and vintage cars.
Absolutely.
And I've always been part of that too. And I sent pictures, and they sent off this young tyke who was like 22 years old. You know, I guess I can call him a young tyke now. You know, now that I have 2 young ones. But you know, he came by and he's like, you know, this is really unusual, and you seem to know something. So well, I hope I know a little. I've been doing it a while.
Just a little.
And,
and another great thing that we're actually going to be talking about, and we'll go more in depth with this, is that you have quite a background on history, correct?
Yeah, I do. I studied history as an undergrad. Always had a passion for studying history, and I did some graduate work in that area.
That's right.
So, yeah.
And as you know, I mean, one great thing about right here, we're in the Lehigh Valley, we're in the heart of it, Bethlehem, and of course, when you think of Bethlehem, PA, what comes to mind? But
steel.
Bethlehem
I mean,
steel.
the whole state of Pennsylvania. I mean, you think of the early Industrial Revolution in America. You think of the genesis of oil. You know, the first oil well in the United States. You had Bethlehem Steel anchoring the eastern side of the state. On the western side, you had U.S. Steel, but you also had a variety of other manufacturers, especially in Pittsburgh, where, you know, quite a bit of my family on my mother's side descends from that area of western PA, actually north of there a bit. But what was so integral here was that you had a huge transportation network. You had the eastern seaboard, but you also had here on the eastern part of the state, you had tremendous railway networks, but you also had the gateway to the west, to the Midwest.
Exactly.
And so electrical goods were a huge part of the manufacturing here. Westinghouse, the Electrodynamic Corporation of Philadelphia, which was founded around 1880, was arguably the first manufacturer of mass-made fans in electrical motors, starting about 1881, and that actually evolved into the General Dynamics Corporation. So what's so intriguing is that this state gave birth to Westinghouse, which was arguably the biggest proponent of alternating current power in Nikola Tesla's system, starting in the late 1880s, a direct competitor to Edison and his direct current system. And this state birthed many great fans. I don't have a Westinghouse here, but I do have something very interesting to share. We have an Emerson Fan, which was using the Tesla patents, which Westinghouse acquired. So Emerson Electric of St. Louis in the early 1890s was in touch with Westinghouse to use patents for their induction motor, which was Nikola Tesla's, baby. And then this GE, which is an induction motor also made in Linworks before Schenectady, was Edison's attempt to get into the AC market that Westinghouse had pioneered in Pittsburgh around 1889.
That's right. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, well, gee, these fans are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
1894 and 1895, correct?
Yeah, 1894-95. That's the first induction model Meston with the beautiful, it's hard to see right here, but this back switch. I mean, look at the ornamentation on that.
I know.
I mean, you can't beat that.
I love the stencil work. It's just so beautiful.
How does it stay so pristine? Where do you find
that? Was restored by a friend and mentor of mine. God rest his soul, the late Dr. Bill Hain of St. Louis, Missouri. Fan collector since 1955. He just died 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And, he was a mentor and a very close friend of mine for years. And, this came out of his collection, and now it's going to another anonymous collector in Pennsylvania. I happen to have a couple in my own collection, but we were able to share some of these treasures with other collectors who are going to appreciate them and keep them running and enjoy them. So he hand did all this work himself. He probably found this in a derelict state and lavished it with love and attention. And you can see.
And that's why, like, when I was telling George about, oh man, my friend Stefan's coming into town, we should really do an interview. This is why, because there are tons of people that are going to be watching this, and they're thinking, oh man, well, Sally, we've got that old fan down in the basement. We were going to throw it away.
Well, if you have a rare fan, come to Robbie. He's here in town.
Exactly.
This is a great opportunity for him.
Don't throw that away.
Don't throw it away.
Exactly.
Hey, even parts.
Yeah.
Go to Robbie or my buddy Tim Marks at Ecotech Marine. Those are the two big fan guys here in the Lehigh Valley.
That's right.
I don't want to hijack, but you were saying, like, to the point, it's history.
It's history and it's tangible, but here's the other thing. These are functional objects. Both of these run. You can hook up a cord, and they're going to run fine on modern-day power. These are not direct current fans.
Yeah.
These are AC fans. You can use these. So there's something nice and utilitarian. I use a 1903 Emerson in my bedroom every night.
Yeah. Honest to God, Stefan, I barely put on the air conditioner.
Oh, it's great. I mean,
I just use the fans like this. I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's just wild because they're so rare. Like,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And we live, and as Stefan has said, we're so fortunate, George, to be living in such an area where we have, where we're so close by to, like, Connecticut, Schenectady, New York, General Electric.
Oh, yeah.
You've got Edison out in Jersey. All of these early manufacturers started.
Eck in New Jersey. You had Deal in New Jersey.
Another biggie that's from around here, Fidelity Electric.
Oh, of course, in Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
And you also had, earlier than that, you had the Toll Manufacturing Company.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Crescent fan, which was made by them. You had, in addition to that, D.H. Culp and Company around Lancaster making ceiling fans.
Yep.
Electrodynamic in Philadelphia. I'm trying to think who else was huge. And there was another one made called the Standard Electric, which was Philadelphia about 1894.
Yeah, tons of those lesser-known manufacturers that have...
But none in Allentown, I think.
I don't recall anything like that.
I guess we're not in Allentown. We're in Bethlehem. But I don't.
Yeah, but I would also... Now, here's another question. I'm sure of this. Bethlehem Steel was probably used in a fair amount of these fans.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the early industrial fans, like a Blackman ventilating wheel, for example, or Sturtevant, BF Sturtevant of Boston, was one of the early manufacturers of industrial ventilation equipment. So they would have used these to extract, the hot air and the fumes, and also to operate. You would have to fan drive some of those blast furnaces too.
Definitely.
They were fan forced. Mm-hmm. You had an electric motor driving it to get the temperature right.
That's right.
We can't forget how much of an integral part a fan was in steel manufacturing.
I'm sorry. I'm just so blown away, no pun intended, that I have a fan
blown
celebrity
away.
sitting right here.
Blown away with the fan by fans.
The fan celebrity right here, folks. But if you folks out there, now I also have to include this, if you folks out there are sitting there and are thinking, oh man, this is so interesting, I'd love to learn more about this, I'd love to get involved. Well, guess what? You're in luck, because there's a little club that exists called
You happen to be on the board of this club.
And I that's right, I just so happen to be on the board of directors for this club, the Antique Fan Collectors Association. And as it turns out, next month, July 22nd and 23rd, we're hosting a fan meet right here in Bethlehem. Starting July 22nd, we're going to be at the National Museum of Industrial History down on the south side of Bethlehem, showcasing all of the Bethlehem Steel artifacts, old machines, things like that. And we're going to have a flash fan sale in the parking lot if weather permits, and if we don't get run away or run out of town by the people holding the place. And then the real fun happens at my friend James's house the following day, and the address is posted on the flyer on the AFCA website. And we're going to have a fan auction, and it's going to be a wonderful time. And we hope, if you're interested, give me a text, whatever it is. Make sure you do that.
Give them a jingle.
Yeah, a little jingle, exactly. But, oh my goodness.
Well, this is where in the video I'm going to put your phone number on the screen.
There, who's that fan hunk? I need his number, right? But, well, Stefan, I'll tell you what. Oh, and by the way, did we mention that Stefan is all the way visiting today from Madison, Wisconsin, just to come here and talk about fans? Can you believe that? And nothing more.
Well, And now I guess this mic sounds so good. I'm the only one who can hear it because I have the headphones on, right? Everyone else can hear it.
Yes.
But I'm so interested. Like, this takes you all over the country.
It does. I mean, I have to deliver a whole Dodge truck full of fans to a very serious collector here in the area and pick up a whole group of fans and motors for myself.
Is it Robbie?
I got him a fan.
I'll tell you what, my storage units are filled to the brim, but I'll take
it's like a darn ice cream truck, but instead, I mean, it's like these are great treats for fan collectors.
Literally, when he showed up in the parking
lot,
like
a candy store,
and he gave me my little present, if you will, which is a fan that's actually sitting over there. I don't know if you can grab it quick, George, or not. But
I just see this one.
Oh, it's sitting right over there. The lovely Vanna White is modeling it right now. There we go.
The beautiful Emerson. With the Parker blade that came out in 1899 by George Parker. Not George Parker. I think it was George Parker. I should remember.
I think so. I'm pretty sure. Oh, man.
He was also the founder of the Parker. I mean, a guy by the same name was the founder of the Parker Fountain Pen Company, George Parker, but a different George Parker.
That's right. So is there anything else that you have? I'm sure people would love to.
How can people find you?
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
type in American Pickers fan dude, but I no.
Well, that's also true. You also have a business out in Madison. Go ahead.
I do. I mostly buy and sell jewelry and other sorts of antiques, watches, stuff like that. But I have an antique store, and my name's Stefan Osdene. You can find me under Cambridge Golden Antiques on Instagram, and I'm open by appointment, and I sell fans to people all around the country.
And I'm sure...
And I love buying parts and pieces.
Oh, definitely. And Stefan is not the only one. There are many, many other people that are in the club that do exactly what that guy does with, like, cars, where they just buy and sell cars every day. But we do the same thing, though it's with fans, believe it or not. And I'll tell you, it's really quite a fun but very challenging hobby/obsession, whatever. Take your pick.
It's an obsession. I mean, I know one guy's got just under 7,000 fans. Another guy had to move out of a house. His wife made him move out of the house because he filled the whole house up with fans and didn't pay the electricity in there. And I remember there was a parrot roosting on top of a fan in there, and I said, that is the weirdest thing. A parrot and a caretaker of the home who didn't mind the lack of electricity because there was running water. So he was happy with that.
Yeah, I took the mic because as a layperson, it's fun to be like, oh, you guys are weird for liking fans, but when you see something like this in person, up close, you immediately kind of get it. Like you see,
these are beautiful objects.
It's the quality. It's American
it's
craftsmanship, right?
Right. I mean, it's like a brass era car. I mean, it's like an automobile. I mean, you hunt down parts and pieces to put them together. You restore them. You make sure they're working. I mean, they're functional. You can use them. Unlike a lot of antiques that just sit up there and collect dust on a shelf, these blow the dust away.
It's not like like stamps or baseball cards where they just sit away in a book and you forget about them.
You actually use these things. They're very utilitarian.
And I'm sure it happens with you too. You know, if you meet someone for the first time and you casually come up in conversation about, oh, I collect fans, and they're like, you collect what? And then once you show them, they actually become enamored with it too, and they're like, yeah, exactly. And they're like, where can I buy one? And that actually happened to me. I actually sold a few fans that I had to people that just wanted.
Well, people. You know? I mean, I have to say, since the American Pickers episode, people have really started to take fans a little more seriously. I'm not saying it's because of that, but it gave it some notoriety, and I think less stuff ended up in the trash.
Yeah,
I mean that's my hope.
Yeah.
I mean, or the scrap pile.
And as we continue to progress into the 21st century, these aren't like a dime a dozen anymore. These are getting much harder to find. You know?
I mean, and these were expensive back in the 1890s. I mean, this was between $50 and $60 in 1895. That's a lot of lot of money. That was the equivalent of like $1,000-$1,200. It was like buying a new TV. I mean,
buying an air conditioner.
Buying an air conditioner or something, a window unit. I mean, it was pretty important. I mean, imagine being in the sweltering heat in St. Louis in 1895. You're lucky enough to have electricity, and you can use that at night.
Exactly.
I mean, that was a very, very important thing. And you also have to think, the fan was one of the first uses of an electric motor for a home appliance.
That's right. That's right.
So.
And you have to think, like, because the wealthy were able to afford them, like,
it became a democratized thing. I mean,
whose desk did this sit on? You know?
Oh yeah, I mean, you had him in the White House. You had him in J.P. Morgan's office. He probably had one of these, being a General Electric, and he was a financier for GE. So that's something you would have seen in his office.
For sure. For sure. So, well, anyway, hey. It was a real pleasure to have you here with us, Stefan. And George, I think it turned out to be a great night.
Thank you for talking so long. Thank you for spending so much time.
Hey, no problem. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
For sure. And
it's good to see, you guys preserving local history and promoting it,
we're all about that.
At such a grassroots level. I love seeing that. That's really important.
Absolutely. This is the best way to do it, too.
Oh, yeah.
Interviewing the people like this and
with Mike with Bob Corker.
And that's the other thing too. And I don't collect just fans, audio equipment. Hey, if any of you
and
have
polka records.
Polka records. We've got 3,000 of them as well.
You got 3,000 polka records?
And that's chump change compared to some of these other guys.
My new girlfriend likes polka. And collects polka records.
Bring her over. I'll show her a good time. Believe me.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you very much, Stefan.
I genuinely hope that you guys enjoyed that as much as I did and as much as we did making it on location at Machs Gute on Linden Street in Bethlehem. Again, thank you to our sponsors, made possible in Lehigh Valley, Molly's Irish Grill and Sports Pub, and of course, Michael Bernardin with Remax Realty. Everything we talk about is in our show notes. If you want to link off to anything, it's all in there. Check it out. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.